Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast, the podcast you come to when you're finally ready to take fantasy hockey seriously. My name is Nate Groot-Niblink. I'm the creator of Apples and Ginos, originator of the Zero G Draft Strategy. In this podcast, Blake and I are going to tell you how to win in Week 4 of the fantasy season. Let's get it. And of course, I have your friend and my best friend. It's Blake Creamer. Blake, how are we feeling tonight?
Much better now, my man. That we're together, united in friendship. It feels amazing. I can't do this alone, man. All right, damn it. All right, I want you, Nate. I don't need you. I want you. Okay. That's confirmed, but I'm really happy to see you, buddy. It's week 4. I can't believe it's week 4 already. This
Crazy.
Things have been flying. Like our summer was crazy here with all the draft season content that we did here at A&G. And it's like, yeah, I felt like my head has been down and I'm finally taking a breath and it's week 4 already. So things are going good though, man. Matchups are decent this week. I had kind of a slow start in a lot of my leagues, but things are starting to come around with some of our expert picks that we have here at Apples and Ginos. Hopefully you are enjoying that all too, folks. How's things going with you, my man?
Things are going pretty good. I took the daughter to the Storm game tonight. She played in the second intermission, so that was fun to watch. Always a proud father moment watching your kid play in front of a few thousand people. So that was a lot
Any
of
open
fun.
ice hits or?
No open ice hits. There
No.
was a collision. I don't think it could be classified as a hit, but yeah, knocked the other kid down. Good, solid form, good follow through. So bringing her up in the way that she should go for sure. Well, Blake, I think we should give the people what they came for. I think we should get into some newsies.
Newsies! You bet, buddy. We got a lot of news here, and we got to bring it to the people because that's what they want, and that's what we provide. All right. First up, Big Willie Styles. Willie Nylander, he's dealing with an undisclosed injury after leaving Friday's game late against the Sabres. This show ain't no good, all right? Head coach Berube said we'll know more today, which is Saturday, so keep your ears open for that. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy. I mean, Leafs, not really a wagon to start the year here. So hopefully, we get a little bit of good news there, and it's just something minor that he's dealing with. Sticking with the Leafs, Wall is close to return as well, Joseph Wall. So that's interesting. What do you think, Nate? Like when he does come back here, what's the split going to be for Stolarz and Wall?
Yeah, I think they will try to go back to more of a 50-50 split. I think they view Stolarz as the primary guy, but I think that doesn't mean that they're going to give him the most work necessarily. I think that they really value getting both of these guys to the finish line healthy, and then they probably will turn the net over to Stolarz for the playoffs, but I think they want to run both guys. And as any goalies go, as we know here at Apples and Ginos, better than anybody, Wall can get hot, and he might be the guy for a little bit and might get a little bit more, get that one extra start per month or something like that. And that's definitely within the realm of possibility, but I do anticipate that with him returning, that it will be more of a 50-50 split once again.
Yeah, that's always tough for fantasy, right? I mean, we got a lot of tandems. That's kind of the way of the NHL now. Like, how do you approach tandems here when you're picking up? Is it kind of spot streams, especially with a team like this? Like Leafs should be a good team here, and you got two good goalies like Joseph Wall. He's one of Kevin Woodley's favorites. Every time I talk to him, he's always lots of superlatives for Wall. So how do you sort of approach that?
Yeah, I'm still kind of applying my 0G heuristic. I'm trying to only hold goalies who are going to get me 2 starts that week. And if it looks like the most likely scenario, we never know for sure, but most likely scenario, they're not going to give me 2 starts that week, then I am looking to move off them. Unless it's, maybe it's a 2-game week randomly for, a higher end goaltender that's actually performing really well. Like I had Blackwood on some teams last year, and if he was only giving me 1 start, I'm not going to drop him. But for most of these tandem goalies, they fall more into that latter category where I am moving off them as soon as they're only going to give me 1 game that week. I can just do better with that spot, and I value winning each week a little bit more.
We value winning here at Apples and Ginos. All right, get the hell off my squad. All right, any of these goalies tandems, no. That's not true, folks. Listen to what Nate said. Sticking with the Leafs here, Morgan Riley. He's still injured. He didn't play here Friday, so we're going to get an update on him on Saturday as well. So that should be a really interesting piece as well, because yeah, you got Oliver Ekman-Larsson out here doing stuff, which is pretty damn nice. He's a nice little stream if you picked him up. But yeah, Riley was playing really well before the injury, so check on that. We got a new Canuck here, Nate. Oh yeah, Lucas Reichel. He gets traded to the Canucks for a 4th rounder. I'm just over the moon. You know what I mean? It feels really good. God, the Canucks this year, man, this could be a really rough one, what we're looking at here with the expected goals, just the amount of offense they aren't generating. And now we get kind of a reclamation project here in Lucas Reichel. So do we care at all with Reichel? I do think he's going to get a spot in the top 6 here, maybe power play 2 to start.
Yeah, I want to see it before I jump on it for sure. But yeah, if there's a good schedule for Vancouver upcoming, maybe, even a weekend, a couple of off nights somewhere, take a ride and see how it goes. I mean, as far as places to go, Vancouver's not a bad spot right now to go and see if you can turn something around. This is a guy, like, he had a pretty solid pedigree coming into the league and hasn't been able to quite figure it out. I'm not sure that Vancouver is the place to do that, but he's at least going to get an opportunity. The Vancouver Canucks saw something there that they liked, and so I do think at some point he'll get the opportunity at least to show us if he's going to be anything for fantasy.
Yeah, and the neat thing about Lucas Reichel, he's a play driver, right? Similar to a Philip Hedl style, right? But even worse defensively than Hedl, if that's possible. So, yeah, it'll be like the big thing with him in Chicago is he wasn't getting the opportunity. So he's going to get that here, I think, at least right off the bat with the Canucks. So someone to keep an eye on. Definitely check that out. He's dual eligible as well on Yahoo, which is nice. All right. Next up, Matt Duchene. Was that Duchene again? Yeah, it was. He's still day to day. All right. He's likely going to miss Saturday's game, but could return on Sunday. I think that he probably will return on Sunday. So yeah, get him back in your lineups if that makes sense for you. Mackenzie Blackwood is still not ready here for the Avs, which is pretty tough. I got him in one spot in the 10th round, which I felt was pretty nice value for Blackwood. I did think that he would be playing games a little bit sooner than what we've seen here. And obviously now Scott Wedgwood's been going off. Didn't have a great game last game there, got pulled. But yeah, I think he's kind of earned himself a look there. Maybe a few more starts when Blackwood does get healthy. So yeah, Bednar, anyway, head coach Bednar said that he's not sure if Blackwood's going to go with the team on the upcoming road trip. So that would have him out until at least Tuesday, the 28th against the Devils. So something to monitor there. What do you think when he comes back? Do you think Wedgie eats into his starts?
I like maybe marginally more. I don't think they just gave Blackwood the contract. Wedgwood has had a nice run, but the last game wasn't anything to write home about either. Most likely, the most the most obvious scenario that I can envision for this is that Wedgwood is who we thought he was, a goaltender who can get hot behind a team that's obviously hot as well, and he can have a nice little 2-week run here and then kind of fade into obscurity once Blackwood's back. That's the most likely scenario. Can I see a possible scenario where Wedgwood starts to eat into his starts? Sure, but I just can't see that as being the most likely scenario for the rest of the season.
All right, I'm with you there, my man. We're going to move it along here over to Carolina. Keandre Miller was injured. They got some more injuries as well. William Carrier, Eric Robertson out for a long stretch there. But the Keandre Miller one is interesting because he was getting power play 1 with Gostisbehere out. So now what are we looking at? Because Nikishin was injured as well in the last game. He's back. So he's not injured, but does he just run power play 1 now?
The last game they ran Sean Walker and Mike Riley as the 2 power play quarterbacks. Like, has anyone mentioned to Rod Brindamore? Does he know that Alexander Nikishin had multiple 55-point seasons in whatever it is, a 65-game season in the KHL? Like, does Rod Brindamore know this information? Has it been made available to him? I don't know.
Big fan of the show here, Rod. What are you doing?
I'm pretty sure of all the people that we say might be a fan of the show, if anybody was going to not be a fan of the show, Rod Brindamore would be pretty close to the top of the list for the amount of time we spend just ragging on him. So I don't know. It should be Nikishin. It's not currently. I am running out of hope on that front. I still think Nikishin is rosterable because the Periffs are terrific. He's playing on a terrific team. He's going to
Yep.
get a decent amount of points just by virtue of being on the ice for a red hot Carolina team. So Nikishin's fine. It's just not the outcome we hope for.
Yep. Absolutely. Interesting stuff there in Carolina. Nothing could be finer. Okay. Let's move on. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is close to returning for the Buffalo Sabres. He was recalled from the AHL on Thursday. So Sabres goalie situation, 3 goalies. Sure. Let's do it. We got Alex Lyon. We got the other guy. I don't know what that man's name is, but he got a win the other night. That's nice. Shout out to anybody who streamed that legend in for a dub. That's excellent. I want to hear about that. Hit us up in the comments if you did. So yeah, I did read a quote from Lindy Ruff. Said they're going to lay out a plan for the 3 goalies. That's basically going to render these guys no more than spot starts to me, unless something changes, right? And remember, it's the Sabres as well. But if I had to guess, I would say UPL gets the bulk of the starts. But Alex Lyon has acquitted himself pretty nicely. It's just going to be kind of a schmozzle there in Buffalo for the goalies. And to be honest, I'm not really interested at this point, unless you can get a spot stream in, or it makes sense for your team, or you're hurting. But I don't know. Any thoughts there, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, I want to see how it works. The most obvious thing would be to just put Colton Ellis back down to the minors, but
They both have to
yeah,
clear waivers, I read. So
yeah,
Lyon and
it
Colton
is
Ellis need to clear waivers.
like Lyon would not clear at this point after the early season run that he's been on. It's pretty clear to me that he would not clear. Somebody would be interested in that. But Colton Ellis, I don't know if he would, if anybody would really be picking him up. He seems like a little bit more of a run of the mill guy. So they might be able to sneak him through. I just can't imagine that he's going to take starts away from Luukkonen and Lyon. They want Luukkonen to be the guy here, I still think. At worst, it turns into like a 50-50 thing with Lyon. More likely, it's a 1A Luukkonen, 1B Lyon situation.
Yep. I like that. All right, let's move on. Ivan Demidov, he's on power play 1 over Zachary Bolduc. That's about time. Like, what are we doing? You know, I love Zach Bolduc. He's had a really nice start to the season, but he's like the Patrick Laine from last year. He's this wizard on the power play, and he's getting very little 5-on-5 deployment. Like, I had him rostered in a couple spots, and then I'm checking the time on ice there. It's like 11 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Like, that's not going to cut it, my man. So yeah, I'm interested. Hopefully, you didn't drop Demidov out there, because I think this is a guy that the ceiling is pretty darn high, and now he's on power play 1, and that team is looking pretty good offensively at the very least. So something to check on the waivers there. If Demidov is out there, I think he's worth it, even in a bad week. I don't know. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Moving on. And I should mention too, Zane Parekh is power play 1 as well. What the hell? He played power play 1 here on Friday night, over 4 minutes of power play time. Did get an assist there, so that's nice to see. I'm not rushing to the wire to get him at this point. I don't know. Calgary's really rough right now, and I think they're just trying everything. But it's a very encouraging sign. I think, if you did hold him through this really rough start, like, you're loving life, because I think they're gonna give him a little look here, like 4 minutes power play time on ice. That's nice in a loss, right? In a game they were in and trying to win, and he was getting that deployment. Still only 17 minutes time on ice. That's not going to do it. Oh, I hate that. It's not like a Zeev Buium situation to me, where he's actually getting the 20-minute treatment and power play 1. Even if he's not getting power play 1, he's still getting good minutes. Zane Parekh is not. So big difference between those 2 players, but I still think there's some value in those players moving forward. What else? Zach Hyman looks like he's going to be returning early November, possibly November 1st, I read. So that's a nice piece. They're going to ramp him up slowly, so don't expect fireworks right off the bat. And plus, we know what Hyman did last year, just tooting in all our faces. Yeah, sure, I'll get a ton of scoring chances, and I won't bury any of them. Zach, my guy, what are you doing? What are you doing? But anyways, that's nice for the Oilers. Johnny Marchessault is day-to-day for the Predators. And lastly, Philip Hedl, he's making some progress for the Canucks after getting trucked by Tom Wilson in a clean but late hit. Buddy, why? Why would you do that, Tommy? I don't like that, but that's fine. Hedl's still weeks away, but it might not be as bad as everyone thinks, considering his concussion history. But that's all, Nate. Let's move on to the next segment here. We got to attack the schedule.
Let's attack that schedule. Starting off with the day by day rundown. Monday, we have 2 games. Tuesday, we have 16 games, every NHL team in action. Wednesday, 1 game. Thursday, 11 games. Friday, 3 games. Saturday, 13 games. Sunday, 5 games. In total, this is 51 games played, so pretty normal week as far as the total number of games played is concerned. There are no teams with a Sunday Monday back to back. There are 4 teams with a Monday Tuesday back to back to open the week, but with that super heavy Tuesday with every team playing, that pretty much just doesn't matter at all. There are no teams with a Monday, Wednesday off night to start the week. There are no teams with a Wednesday, Friday off night in the middle of the week, and there are only 3 teams with Friday, Sunday at the end of the week. Those teams are Anaheim, Detroit, and the New York Islanders. This is an ugly week for streaming. There is not going to be a ton of action that you can take that will materially affect your matchup. That being said, there are some words of wisdom we can provide, I think. Find a goalie streamer early in the week and then try to get that Anaheim, Detroit, New York Islander at the end of the week, whatever that looks like for your squad. If your league is a little sharper and you think some of those guys will be snapped up, then maybe if you've got a couple of streaming spots, you can grab one and then try to go the goalie streaming route for the early part of the week. In one scenario, I picked up Anders Lee already for next week, where I am down by like 100 points in the matchup, so obviously this week wasn't going my way. Went and grabbed Anders Lee, but I still have another spot dedicated where I will be going for those goalie streams early week, and then we'll see what's left over at the end of the week. Injuries can happen. You want to keep your options open. So I think that's a way to go about it in a week like this. I don't think you should just go nuts, go ham on those end of week options. You want to get something going in the early week. If you get to the end of the week and you're finally getting your streamers in and your matchup is already decided, you've just wasted a whole bunch of ads. So try to figure out what's going to work and try to keep your options open as much as possible. It is a brutal week. There's no two ways about it. It's not going to feel good. There's not going to be a lot of levers you can pull to will yourself to victory this week. But if it has been a tough start for you, if you're starting the season 0-3, this might be a week to kind of level set with your lineup, look at the waiver wire, say, are any of these guys better long term than what I've got on my team right now, and kind of make those ads look into the future as well. So that might be a look for you as well. Got anything to add here, Blake?
No, I love that. That's really sharp stuff. I think, I will mention, just take a look at the back-to-backs too, right? That's where you can sort of make some guesses about who you think the goalies are going to be in those times, right? And then you can get ahead of that as well. That's something I like to do. I sometimes risk it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I think this guy's going to play on this game, so I'll pick him up early to get ahead of the other streamers. And I would say 60% of the time it works all the time. So definitely check out those back-to-backs, but I think that's really sharp stuff, Nate.
All right, let's move right along. Let's get into the lowered expectations.
Lowered expectations. Yeah. We're talking about the worst teams to stream and potentially drop players from. And we got some teams here that are going to be hard to hold, definitely hard to hold fringe players. I think you're going to be bouncing them, and maybe hard to hold the good players too, potentially if you're down a bunch of, if you're already down like 0-3, like, are you going to be holding some of these guys? And we'll get into that here. So there are 3 teams: the Florida Panthers, Montreal Canadiens, and the Seattle Kraken. Release the Kraken. It's been released, sir. All right. Throw some fish in there. Feed the Kraken. All right. It's hungry. I don't know where we're going with that. Sorry. The Florida Panthers, Montreal Canadiens, Seattle Kraken, 2 games played, 0 off nights. They all play Tuesday and Saturday. So everybody plays Tuesday. It's the 16-game Tuesday, and then Saturday's the 13-game or so. It's going to be really tough to get in fringe players on these teams. And let's talk about some of those players. And Florida is a really interesting situation because you've got guys that are not usually identified as fringe players. We got Carter Verhaeghe. We got Sam Bennett-Dyson, Sam Bennett, Anton Lundell even. And now Mackie Samoskevich. He's on power play 1. He's actually doing stuff out there. What are we doing with these players here in this week? Like, where's that cutoff line for you with the Panthers?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to keep Verhaeghe. I'd like to keep Bennett. The other 3 are definite drops for me in this particular week. And, if you're in a spot where there are better options on the wire, there are good options on the wire, then dropping Verhaeghe or Bennett is not out of the question for me. Yeah, it's not my preferred option,
Yep.
but there are definitely, especially like 10 team leagues or stuff like that, where that would actually probably be the best play for you this week is to just let them go at this point. It's not working right now, and if you are 0-3 or 1-2 and you need to make stuff happen this week and there is actually somebody out there who you think can make a difference for your squad, then I don't mind it. And that being said, this is a week where you can kind of hang on to some players sometimes because you're going to be benching people
Yep.
regardless. There's pretty much no way around that. And so if that's you, then this might be a week where you can just kind of hang on to some of these guys that have been underperforming, and hopefully this is the week they turn it around and you start to feel better about them moving forward.
Yeah, I like that actually. It's like just use it as kind of a just a week where you watch the players, right, and see what they do, right? Especially Verhage and Bennett. Like Verhage, buddy, 3 points in 9 games, horrible start for him. Bennett, who we all thought, I'm not, effing leaving, buddy. Well, thanks for coming back and giving us 2 points in 9 games, Sam. Okay, yeah, that's well worth the money. I guess those cups are worth whatever. Who cares? They have cups, Nate. You know what
Yeah,
cups are? They have
I
Stanley
don't know.
cups over there. No, I don't know.
I've never seen the
I
thing.
don't know what it is. Like, what is it? It's a silver thing you put
It's
liquid
like a
inside.
duck. No one can ever tell us
No,
what they
you
are.
don't know what a duck is. I don't know what a cup is, right? How have I made it this far in life? I don't know. But anyways, yeah, that's an interesting piece on Florida. Let's move on to the Canadians. We're talking about Ivan Demidov, Mike Matheson, the professor, and Zach Bolduc, I think, kind of top the list there. So to me, I mean, Matheson, I think you can easily drop. He's a great player in real life. He's getting a bunch of minutes, but I think the offensive production for fantasy is not really there. Demidov and Bolduc are more interesting. I think Bolduc can be dropped pretty easily just because of the actual time on ice and now losing his spot on power play 1. So, Nate, what are you doing with this young phenom, number 93 on the Canadians, Ivan Demidov?
It is a tough thing to figure out. I didn't end up with Demidov anywhere. He was still going ahead of where I was comfortable drafting him in all of my drafts. People taking that swing on the upside. The last 3 games have not been kind to Demidov
Yep.
ice time wise. 12:27, 13:46, 12:06. He has 3 shots in the last 4 games. He has 3 assists in the last 4 games, which is all right. He's
Nice
going
ones,
to
too.
do that. Yeah, they look great, and
Yep.
it makes you think like he's having a terrific fantasy season, but he's really not at the
Nope.
end of the day. And so this might be a player who like looks a lot better on highlight reel packages than he does in your fantasy lineup. I honestly would be okay with dropping Demidov for this week if there is that spot in your lineup that you really like. If he is literally that guy, like you're
Mhm.
like going out to get a really good streamer, really good spot. You need to open up a spot on your lineup, and Demidov is not going to crack your lineup for any games this week. Then I can see it. That being said, again, it's a week where you're trying to hang on to guys that you think might pop at some point and really go off. And it could be that week where Demidov really asserts himself. We saw it from Lane Hudson last year. Took him a little bit to get going, but then obviously he was terrific towards the back, not even the back half, like before the back
Yep.
half started. So that could be the trajectory for Demidov as well. And I'm trying to stay patient, but I can see it as well. If you have to move on, you have to move on.
Yep, for sure. The thing with Demidov is it's one of those guys that if you drop, it could really hurt you later, right? But we can't think like that, right? You got to get the dubs now. I always talk with people on Discord and in Twitter. Like they're like, oh, should I drop so and so to pick up this guy, or should I trade for this guy who has a great schedule in the playoffs? I'm like, you got to get there. You know what I mean? You got to get to the playoffs. So yeah, if you have to drop players and to pick up some dubs, then you do it, right? And I think Demidov is in that conversation, right? I don't have him anywhere either. I don't really like drafting rookies, honestly, unless they're like Macklin Celebrini or Connor Bedard, and even then, they're steamed way up the board. So yeah, that's my 2 cents there. All right, let's move on to Seattle, the Kraken. All right. We're watching them from the shore. They're looking very mean in there, but we're just having a nice drink on the shore, and that feels fine. Jared McCann having a really nice look this season. Is he healthy right now? Actually, I meant to check on that. I'm just going to look. Yeah, he's still day to day on Yahoo.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see where he's at. But when he was healthy, this guy was doing the thing, right? He's actually on the season. Jared McCann is third overall in individual expected goals for per 60. Pretty nice. All right. Very small sample size, but that's a nice thing to see from a player that we like here at Apples and Ginos. But that said, I mean, if you don't have an IR spot, I don't know how you hold a potentially injured Jared McCann in a 2-game week. So I
Yeah.
think hopefully you have an IR spot, get him in there. Mason Marchment, Matty Beniers. Any thoughts on those players?
Yeah, I think the other two you can definitely let go. McCann is a tougher one. I mean, as long as you can stash him in an IR plus spot, then do that. But more than likely, he comes back at some point here shortly, and you have to kind of figure out what you're doing with him. He kind of fits into that Demidov kind of spot
Sure.
for me again, where it's like, I want to hang on to this guy, but if he is that last guy, if it's a 10-team league, whatever the case may be, if he is that last guy at the bottom of your roster and you are staring down something that you think could really actually kind of help you this week and might be the difference in your matchup, then I would go ahead and make that move, even though I do really like what we've seen in the early going from McCann.
Yeah, for sure. When I'm looking at these streamers too, I like to look at team situations as well. I know you do as well, Nate, but just expected goals for. Like, what are they generating out there? And the Kraken, 29th overall in the league in expected goals for so far in a small sample size, but that show ain't no good. So McCann is doing it all when he's out there, right? But when he's not, I mean, this is gross. So just something to think about when you're looking at potential drops. It's something that I look at. Let's move on to another couple teams here that also play 2 games, but they do have one off night. So we're looking at the Utah Mammoth. I called them the Utah Hockey Club the other night. It's terrible. Why did they do that? Why did they do that, Nate? I don't know. But anyways, Utah plays Tuesday and Sunday. So that's going to be a tough one, right? Maybe that's a stream you can pick up at the end of the week if you want like a 1-game stream and you're trying to win your matchup and there's some Utah guys out there. And Vegas is the other team that only plays 2 games. They play Tuesday and Thursday, the 3-game Thursday. So starting in Utah, yeah, this one is going to be more difficult because you got guys that we like here at Apples and Ginos, guys like JJ Peterka, who, yeah, what are we doing with him in a 2-game week? You are going to get 1 game for sure. Does he make your roster on the Tuesday? Maybe, right? Maybe he makes the roster on Tuesday. I don't know. But Nick Schmaltz, I think the way he's playing right now, he should be making your roster on Tuesday, right? So I don't know. That said, like, are you looking to drop these guys for this week, or do they kind of fall into that kind of bucket of you're just kind of holding them for this week and seeing what they do?
Yeah, I think you're trying to hang on to both of them at the moment. Paterka is fine. I think if you drafted him, you're probably trying to hang on to him. He's got 5 points in the last 5 games. 3 of those came as assists in the last game. That's 7-4 win against St. Louis. Paterka's just over 16 minutes average time on ice. Underlying metrics are nothing to write home about here. Schmaltz, on the other hand, 5 goals and
What is
11
he doing?
points in his last 5 games, over 20 minutes a night, 7th in the league in individual expected goals, 4 per 60 as per Mark Barber's model. Like, everything is going for Nick Schmaltz at the moment. He looks amazing, probably the best he's ever looked in his career right now. And so, yeah, I don't know how you drop a guy who's that hot at this point. Um, that being said, if you really are in a spot where you've got a bunch of other players who are all smashing as well, and you are actually benching Nick Schmaltz, then yeah, you can drop him. I just can't imagine that you're benching Nick Schmaltz with the way he's been going off lately.
Don't bench Nick Schmaltz. All right. I think it was the last time we were together 2 weeks ago where we're like, is Nick Schmaltz going to get over 50% this year rostered on Yahoo? Our boy Dunn's grown up, Nate. It's amazing. I think he's over 70 right now. It's a banner day here at Apples and Ginos. This man is an absolute unit. Shout out to Nick Schmaltz. He's actually a shooter now against all odds. I don't know. It's bizarre. But we like that here. Clayton Keller's pretty damn good too. He gets to play with him. So anyways, that's the take on Utah there. Going over to Vegas. I mean, I think the player that we're going to have the biggest issue with dropping potentially, and not a big issue, but it's Ivan Barbashev, right? He's, obviously getting access to a red hot Jack Eichel, right? I mean, Barbashev's power play too. So yeah, it's nothing crazy, but he does have good periffs as well. What do you think about Barbashev?
Yeah, I mean, Barbashev's got 2 goals and 6 points in his last 5, but the underlying metrics are pretty bad. He is currently right now just being carried by the other Vegas players who are going off. I would be willing to move off of Barbashev this week, especially if you're going to be benching him.
Come on, Bobby, let's go party. Ivan Barbashev, get the hell off my team. All right. We don't need that. That's a Nate stamp of disapproval, actually. I like our barbershop a lot. Shout out to him. All right. And there are 11 teams that all play 3 games with 0 off nights, but there's so many of them that, I mean, they pretty much all will fall into that category of like, let's just hold it this week and see what happens. If you look at your schedule and you set the lines for every day, and there's consistently a guy from one of these teams that's being benched, that's the guy you drop, right? You just get rid of them and don't even worry about it, right? I mean, I'm saying that now, but obviously your situation is, personalized to you. Anyways, Nate, we got to move on. We got to get into a little section here. You might have heard of this section, Nate. It's called Crossing the Streams. Oh
I
yeah,
have
buddy.
heard of this section vaguely.
Oh yeah, this is how we live. This is our way of life. And Nate, honestly, I don't think that people understand the bond that we shared, Nate. The sacred
How
creed.
could they?
No, they don't. And in which we choose to live our lives, right? The 0G way. All right. Goalies, no. Get them the hell out of my sight. And it feels good. And now after, several years of working together, I think, we're always looking for a way to take our friendship to another level, to the absolute limit, right? We do that. That's what Crossing the Streams is all about. So anyways, Nate, I know this is another story. Like I just like to share with the people here. I think they need to know. Nate and I, this summer here, we decided to have just a small ceremony with all our fantasy friends and family, basically just to signify our commitment to apples and Ginos. I can't even get through this without. To signify our commitment to apples and Ginos and fantasy hockey. And we called it the Stream Wedding. It was really beautiful, wasn't it, Nate? You remember that?
Gorgeous. Yeah. Beautiful day.
Yeah. Oh, it was unbelievable. And now I should preface, like, both Nate and I are both happily married men with beautiful families. Okay. So this wasn't about that. This is more about celebrating friendship and our shared love for fantasy hockey. So that's what we did. Yeah. And it was a big day for us. Probably one of the most beautiful days of our lives. I mean, is that your opinion as well, Nate?
Easily top 3.
Oh, buddy, I'd love to hear that. Okay. So anyways, we made our way down to a little beautiful spot called Lake Streamington. Okay. That's not my best work. It's the first place we ever crossed the streams. All right. It was a beautiful ceremony. I'm going to paint another picture for you. Just picture this, a wooden, heavily lacquered altar. Okay. With 2 streaming stars at the top. I'm wearing beige linens, right? With a denim vest. Nate's got a baby blue tux with those tails and a top hat. Okay, very similar to the one Jeff Daniels wore in Dumb and Dumber, right? I was a bit nervous. Like, there was a lot of people there, right? I'm chugging Pedialyte like it was a white Monster energy drink. And Nate, I look over at him, stoic, emotionless, quietly downing his 4th pixie stick of the day. Okay. Ross Colton, one of our guests, he was already crying before anything even happened. The officiant,
he does that.
Yeah, he's a very sensitive man. The officiant, actually, my Uncle Ron, he got ordained on the internet for the occasion, even though this is a completely made up ceremony. There's nothing, official there. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, my Uncle Ron. But that's fine. He picks his nose and eats it, actually. That's a true story. Shout out to my Uncle Ron. He's an adult man. Just blowing up my Uncle Ron. Anyways, we're standing there. My Uncle Ron goes, "Dearly beloved," he says, "we're gathered here today to celebrate a union unlike any other, a bond not of blood, nor of love, but of bladder." Right? Beautiful, beautiful words right off the bat. I was getting misty. Nate and I stood side by side at the water's edge, right? We both pre-gamed with a couple bottles of red Gatorade for the ceremony's sake, right? We don't want to, get stage fright, right? We want to be good to go. And he says, my Uncle Ron, "Do you, Blake, promise to stream responsibly, to aim true, and to never roster Casey Middlestat?" And I said, "I do." All right. And he said, "Nate, do you vow to cross the streams in times of drought and in times of flood?" And Nate did hesitate. I'm not going to lie there. That was a bit hurtful, but he does say, "I do." Maybe he's a bit nervous. I don't know. It's fine. And Uncle Ron goes, "You may now cross the streams." Okay. And then came the magic moment, the vows sealed in the oldest tradition known to fantasy man. 2 arcs, 1 horizon. It looked exactly like a McDonald's arch sent from the heavens. Okay. As the golden rays of sunset hit the stream's mid-flight, they formed a perfect rainbow, a shimmering bridge of brotherhood. And Nate, I swear to God, the synchronization, perfect. Okay, NASA level precision. Okay, and then everyone just started clapping, right? Actual applause. My mom was crying. Okay, my wife, I look over at her. She looks extremely puzzled, slightly annoyed. Okay, and that's fine. I look over at Nate, eyes misty, zipper halfway up. And I thought, that's my guy right there. Okay, I'll cross the streams with you anytime, buddy. Okay, and Nate just said ditto, which was a little underwhelming. But we moved on and we quickly applied some hand sanitizer. We did a jumping high five. Okay, and then we finished it off with a barbarian handshake. Right, you get all the way up to the forearm there. We do that, you get in there. And yeah, it was needless to say, it was a perfect day. We got tons of gifts too. Remember, Nate, we got a squatty potty. You remember that? You remember what's funny though? It's like just one. I mean, we live in different cities and houses. So, I mean, obviously we're going to share that moving forward, but I'm going to take my turn first, Nate. I hope you don't mind. It's really good for the, exit of the feces.
Okay.
Anyways, that's it. I mean, obviously, Nate, first off, thank you for letting me share that. Do you have any fond memories of that day?
I doubt that I could do them as much justice as you already have, but clearly a very monumental day in both of our lives.
It feels good, buddy. It's so good to be back together. I just thought I'd share that with everybody there. I do this, folks. I'm sorry. I get an idea in my head and I have to see it through to completion. And this is a result. Okay. But this is what you signed up for, folks. All right. You're here, not me. I'm just in my basement. All right. Let's talk about crossing the streams. We got teams here that we gotta get the biz on here. Teams with the best schedules and players we're looking to get on our squads. All right. And there are 3 teams right off the bat that do have the best schedule. I mean, quote unquote. And they are the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Detroit Red Wings, and the New York Islanders. They all play 4 games with 2 off nights. What the hell? That's freaking terrible. Columbus plays their off night on the Wednesday, and then they play the Sunday. Detroit plays their off night on the Friday and the Sunday, and then New York plays the Friday and Sunday as well. So let's start with Columbus. We're looking at players like Sean Monahan, right? If he's out there, Boone Jenner, Kent Johnson, I think is actually a guy that we could get on the wire, right? And even in sharper leagues, I think he's sometimes out there because he's been underwhelming to start. And Dmitry Voronkov, who's actually been, looking pretty good. He got a goal tonight that was disallowed, but he's in the mix. So how are you kind of ranking these guys here on Columbus?
Yeah, I think Monahan's still the number 1 for me here, but Voronkov has been doing some stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he's got 5 points in his last 5 games. This is not including the game here against who did they play tonight? They got trounced.
Yeah, they got
Washington here.
Yeah, right.
So doesn't include that, but 5 points at 5 games prior. Still only just over 50.5 minutes average time on ice here. Underlying metrics are not terrible, but definitely not good. So there is that piece of it for sure, but he's kind of putting the biscuit in the basket, as you like to say, Blake.
Yep.
So don't mind that for Voronkov. He's probably the number 2 there. And then, I mean, Boone Jenner has 6 points in the last 5 games prior to this game against Washington. His underlying numbers don't look good. Kent Johnson has 3 points in the last 5 games, under 15 minutes average time on ice. His underlying numbers don't look good. So really, yeah, Monahan's the guy for me. Voronkov, I'm considering. Kent Johnson and Boone Jenner are kind of tough to roster at the moment, in my opinion. They're streamable for this week just because there's so few options in general. But I'm not excited about it at the moment, just given what we're seeing in the underlying numbers and the deployment.
Yeah, very true. I mean, I think even this last game here on Friday, Voronkov did get power play 1. He was on power play 1 there, and they had Boone Jenner down on the second unit. So that's interesting as well. But yeah, I picked up Johnson. I picked him up in a couple spots where I'm winning like pretty handily, and I could kind of plan ahead. He does have triple eligibility, so I like that, and that is a player I'm interested in. He's not going to bring any periffs, right? He's a dancing boy. He doesn't do a damn thing in the peripheral categories, but yeah, he's a good offensive player. Hasn't really taken off here this year. So I actually do like Johnson, certainly for a stream this week and maybe a streamer with benefits. And then Voronkov, I think, is another guy that we could possibly get out there. So I do like those players. And obviously, you know what I like about Boone Jenner. He's a legend. Beautiful jawline, amazing head of hair, right? I mean, this guy's an Adonis. All right. There was a funny comment in one of our YouTube videos that said, I think it was our projection series for Columbus. And someone's like, surprising passion for Boone Jenner. It's like they just came across our channel and it's like,
Yeah.
and they just hear us going off on Boone Jenner. Like, that was surprising. Like, the man's a unit. That's why. All right. Let's move on to the Detroit Red Wings. We're looking at Patty Kane if he's out there. I mean, if he's out on your wire and you can add him straight to IR plus, that should have already been done. Yeah, you got to get Patrick Kane on your squads. He's way under rostered. But now we're looking at players that you can probably actually get. Emmett Finney, which I just talked about on the over-under show I did here. Marco Kasper's another one. Simon Edmondson. And then Sandin Pellikka. Sandin Pellikka. I'm not saying that right, but those are kind of our options, our streaming options for Detroit. And yeah, it's not awesome. I think Finney is the guy I am interested in because he was getting power play 1, and there's some interesting underlying metrics there. But what are your thoughts on those players, Nate?
Yeah, I agreed on Kane. He has to be rostered. Emmett Finney, I mean, he has 5 points in his last 5 games. The individual expected goals for per 60 is at 24th, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I don't think it lasts. I agree with your general sentiment that I don't think the volume is going to sustain over time, and eventually that's just going to be a percentages game where he kind of decreases off this early season pace. But I'm pretty content to ride it while it's hot, especially in a week like this where there are so few options. So, yeah, I do like Finney as a pretty strong stream for this week if he's not already been picked up in your league. Marco Kasper has had a really tough start to the season here. Just 1 goal, 0 assists in the first 8 games of the season, and nothing doing under the hood. It all looks pretty terrible. Maybe part of that is to do with Kane being out and he's not getting the benefit of that playmaking from Patrick Kane's side of things. But yeah, really rough. I would still, in a deeper league or something, I would still look at him as a potential streamer for this week, especially if Kane does come back. But it's hard to be excited about what Marco Kasper is offering outside of some hits at this current moment. Simon Edmondson and Axel Sandin Pellikka, I think Sandin Pellikka is the guy who's better offensively, and the underlying numbers do support that. But Edvinsson is probably going to get more time on ice. Both of them have only 1 point, a goal each in 8 games to start the season. They're not really being utilized for their offense, I guess, at this point.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's kind of like a break glass in case of emergency defense stream between Edmondson and Sandin Pellikka. If I had to choose between the two, I think I would just go for the higher upside guy in ASP.
Yep, like that as well. Yeah, it's weird. I find that defensemen are so much easier to stream and there's nothing out there. Like on those busy nights, usually it's like, oh, I have a defenseman spot available. Like who's out there on the wire? You're like, oh God, like Ivan Provorov. Why the hell? Why would anyone roster that chode? I don't know where I'm going with that. Oh, that's not the word I wanted to use. I'm sorry, folks. I'll have to put an explicit warning on the thing. Let's move on. Damn it. Got off the rails there. All right. New York Islanders. The interesting pieces here. I wouldn't say that if they didn't just pump the Detroit 7-2 in the last game. It looked actually pretty good. That said, too, one of the worst defensive environments in the entire league, which is so crazy. I mean, geez. But yeah, you got some bits and pieces there for sure. We got Anders Lee, who I'll let you talk about him, but he's looking pretty damn good under the hood. Kyle Palmieri, he's punching through drywall. He's shotgunning monsters. He doesn't give a damn, right? And they're giving him some minutes, and he's doing his thing that he's done in the past, right? I think those guys might be rostered. I think it's players like Jonathan Drouin and Emil Heineman that are guys that maybe we will have a chance at getting that can actually do something for fantasy. Is that kind of your thoughts too, Nate?
Yeah, I think Anders Lee, 7 points in his last 5 games. That's of interest. First in individual expected goals, 4 per 60 over the last 5 games, but only 14 minutes a night. Some of that was, dragged down by this last game. I think he only played like 13 minutes, but he already had like 3 assists in those 13 minutes, and they just were absolutely demoing in that game. So they just kind of sat him down and let the fourth line go. That's a little bit of that. And Kyle Palmieri is the guy getting the deployment, and the underlying numbers are good. Definitely not great, but good. So I think Palmieri is probably the number 1 guy if he's still available. Then Lee, then probably Drouin. Drouin has 4 assists in the last 5 games, over 17 minutes, average time on ice. The on-ice stuff actually looks pretty good. He's been playing on a line with Horvat and Heineman. and playing on top power play. So that's obviously not too bad of a spot. If he's going to get enough deployment, he could throw some assists for you. It's not going to be, I don't think he's going to have a monster week for you, but he could probably provide you a little bit of something, especially in a deeper league. Heineman is kind of
Yeah.
interesting. The Heineman, like just over 13 minutes time on ice, but 5 goals and 6 points in his last 5 games. 45th in shots per 60, 26th individual scoring chances for per 60, 66th individual expected goals for per 60. All good numbers there under the hood. Could he start to get a little bit more run if he's able to sustain this for any length of time? Definitely possible. So, yeah, I don't hate that either, and he bangs.
He bangs. You know what? That might be the best pull you've ever done for a nickname, the Heine Man. And I'm going to take it a step further. Emil Heineman is now known as the Ass Man. All right, that's what we're doing. All right, because we're going PG-13 here on the pod tonight,
Ooh.
and we feel fine with that. All right, that's my son said a swear word the other day right to my face. I was like, oh my god, where'd you hear that? Like he's like, oh, this kid. I'm like, I guess okay, fine, all right, okay. Don't want to make a big deal, but he's very offensive. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about a couple other teams here. Well, one team in particular, the Anaheim Ducks, right? They played 3 games with 2 off nights. And they go the busy Tuesday, obviously, and then they play Friday, Sunday. So Anaheim is a great team to pick up back half of the week if you want to stream some goalies or some, or pick up a couple players like Nate was saying that you think you might hold for like the next little bit here, right? Because the streaming is pretty stinky. So let's look at Anaheim. It's a wagon, isn't it, Nate? Our Ducks are flying. It's great stuff. So we're looking at Leo Carlson, Frank Vetrano, Chris Kreider, Chicken Necks, Granny, Mikhail Granlund, Troy Terry, and Beckett Seneca. I mean, is Cutter Gauthier out there? For God's sake, he better not be. All right, you better get Cutter Gauthier in your lineup and do it now. But rank these Ducks for me, man.
Yeah, I think probably, man, it's really hard for me not to rank Troy Terry number one.
Yeah, he looked good the
Troy
last game. That
Terry,
was his best game, I think.
yeah, for sure it was. Last 5 games, almost 18 minutes average time on ice, 7 points in 7 games to start the season for Troy Terry now. Leo Carlson, though, on the other hand, also on a torrid start to the season, 8 points in 7 games for him, and 18.5 minutes average time on ice looks really good to the naked eye as well if you're watching at home. Yeah, it's kind of a toss up for me, honestly, between Carlson and Terry at this point in time. I honestly don't really think you can go wrong between the two. I guess if you have the center only spot available for Carlson, then I might lean that way because the underlying metrics are a little better there. But realistically, I think both are pretty great. Mikhail Granlund is getting a lot of ice time, obviously pops off for 5 points in this game. And so he's got now 6 points in his last 5 games. 5 of them came in the last game. But
Love that.
good underlying numbers for Granlund as well at the moment. So that's something to take note of. So he would definitely be the number 3 at the moment. Yeah, I like Chris Kreider. You've heard me talk about him. Frank Vetrano and Beckett Seneca. Seneca, I still don't
Seneca. I
know.
looked it up. It's Seneca.
Seneca? All
Yep.
right. Officially Seneca.
Yep.
I would take Seneca. Seneca's playing 4 more minutes a night than Vetrano at this point in time. The underlying numbers do not look good. It honestly wouldn't even shock me if he doesn't make the lineup at some point here in the near future. So maybe keep an eye on that. But at the moment, still getting way more ice time than Frank Vetrano. Vetrano is not a guy I'm really excited to roster.
Yeah. But they're really doing it though, aren't they, buddy? Damn, it's been fun. Like again, I juxtapose like the Canucks game, and then I watch the Ducks game, and it's just like, this is what I'll watch when I'm trying to fall asleep at night. You know what I mean? And then this one is like what I watch in the morning when I'm trying to wake up. Right? The Ducks are looking really great offensively, exciting team. I talked about Olin Zellweger the other night, but Jackson Lacombe, Trouba looks good randomly. Like he actually looks like he's figured something out here. It's just a fun team to watch. So yeah, I'm into that. I think you can't go wrong with these Ducks this week, especially in a crappy week like this.
Marie Kondo effect there. This one inspires joy.
Oh, absolutely, buddy. I'm getting a ton of joy from this. That's a deep cut as well, buddy. Do you watch that show? You watch the whole thing?
I have not.
Oh, damn. Well, I was about to talk to you about it, Nate. I thought we had another connection. Just take it again to the higher limit. That's fine. All right. Nate doesn't have a lot of time, folks. Seriously. He has about 20 pixie sticks and then he passes out under a couch right after he puts his kids to bed. So there's really not a lot of time to watch TV. It's understandable. All right. We're here if you need us, Nate. Anyways, there are 8 teams that play 4 games with 1 off night. Again, not as important here because what are you going to do? You're pick up streamers on teams that aren't getting in your lineup, right? It's not probably not something we're doing. So you do have Boston, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis. Their off night is the Monday. So I don't know, maybe if you have an extra ad at the end of this week and you don't need it, like you can do a 1-game stream, right? That's
Yeah.
a fine strategy, right? You can pick up one of these guys, no problem. Get that 1 game in. Like you want every little edge. You want those micro edges to help you win your matchup, right? So take a look there. And then Calgary, New Jersey, Philly, and San Jose, they all play Sunday. So those are your like Hail Marys at the end of the week, right? If you have, you have a close matchup and you got 1 ad left, like you can do that, right? It's on the table. It's just not awesome, right? So I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. Anything to add there, Nate?
Nope. I think we got it.
All right, let's move on. I know you people want to hear about the Apples and Ginos Patreon. When Nate's got a whole spiel prepared, he's practiced it. Yeah, you got to check this out.
Supporter tier, $2 per month gets you access to the APL, basically, is what we got. The $2 tier. Apple's tier, $8 a month gets you access to the APL, but also gets you access to patron-only live shows, patron-only Discord channels, the show notes, including the show notes for this one, which includes all our ad targets, and also gets you access to the Apples and Ginos player evaluation tool. Looks a little something like this. If you're watching on YouTube, looks pretty cool. Many thanks to Mark Barber and Poppy for getting this thing up and running and making it look so fantastic. But yeah, definitely something that you want in your life if you need to make some more informed fantasy hockey decisions. For $15 a month, Blake or I are guaranteed to answer your questions via DM, via message in the Patreon Discord channel, whatever your flavor may be, we will answer there if you're in the $15 tier. So
Slide
appreciate
on in there.
everyone in the Patreon. If you need some help, that's the place to do it. All right, Blake, we got to get into some dream streams here. Best for points ranked. If Patrick Kane is playing, he is the best available in 50% or less of Yahoo leagues currently. Then I'm going Sean Monahan, Leo Carlson, Troy Terry, Dmitry Voronkov, Mikhail Granlund, Kyle Palmieri, Kent Johnson, Boone Jenner, Chris Kreider. I am basically just picking all the 2 off night players here, right? These are the guys that you can get 2 games for sure. Maybe some of the others you can get an extra game out of, so check that for your particular squad. But those are the guys. Do you take great offense with any of the ordering that I've done here, Blake?
Definitely not offense, but I'd love to get a quick take on Sean Monahan from you because I get a lot of questions on him. And I feel like I'm a bit lower maybe than consensus on Sean Monahan. Like the underlyings don't look that good to me. I know he's getting power play 1. He's playing like access to Marchenko. It's looking really good, but 1 assist in 6 games, that's showing no good, right? Or I don't know if that is counting tonight's game here as well. No, it isn't. But I don't think he had a point tonight, or he might have got an assist. I'm not sure, but still, it's been an underwhelming start for Monahan.
It definitely has. And yeah, I mean, if I was going to go back and redo my projection today, I might tick him down a little bit. I had him at the beginning of the season for 67 points. I mean, he's getting even more ice time than I actually had him projected for. I still think there's a chance that the power play starts to pick up once they decide exactly who the best 4 forwards are on it. So I still think there's a lot of scenarios that work out pretty well for Monahan. The problem is with Monahan is if this continues to be a problem for Monahan for much longer, they have the future franchise center right behind him in Adam Fantilli. And Fantilli did have that chemistry with Marchenko last year, and it really worked for a period of time. So that is the problem with Monahan at the moment. I think if Monahan can sort it out sooner rather than later and just kind of reestablish himself there, just start to reestablish some scoring and reestablish himself in the eyes of the coach, then everything is probably in this 65-ish point range for the rest of the season. But if he can't do it in short order here, then this could be an inflection point where we do actually start to see the ascension of Adam Fantilli. So that is the main concern with Monahan for me. All right, let's talk about the best for hits. It is going to be the Heineman,
The
the
ass
ass man.
man. Oh yeah, ass man.
Right. It's Emil Heineman. Number one, Emmett Finney, underrated part of his game, throws a ton of hits. Radko Gudas, Frank Vitrano, Michael Brandsegg-Nygaard actually does that as well over on Detroit. So those are the best for hits in my estimation among those two off-night teams. Best for blocks, Edvinson, Sherratt, Fabro, Truba and Pulak there. Definitely nobody exciting for anything other than those blocks, but if that's what you're targeting, those are some guys you can look at. Anything to add on the bangers here, Blake?
Nah, let's keep it moving.
Let's keep it moving. Let's talk about the hold me players. These are players that I am desperate to hold at really any point of the day, but preferably at night. I do want to mention three players that graduated from last week. Nick Schmaltz up to 77% rostered, Shane Pindo up to 60% rostered, and Cutter Gauthier at 54% rostered. 54% rostered for the best player in the league, Cutter Gauthier. What's going on?
What is happening? Makes no sense.
Makes no sense. Long-term plays here at forward. Let's start with the guys under 50%. Patrick Kane, 47%. Will Smith, Zach Benson, Frank Nazar, Sean Monahan, I still have here because I do think the upside is higher than a lot of these other guys. Dylan Cousins, Leo Carlson, Elias Lindholm, sorry. I keep doing that.
I know. Yeah,
Jared
I do too.
McCann, Tyler Toffoli, Owen Tippett, Brock Besser, Connor Garland, Emmett Finney, Mikhail Granlund, Alexis Lafreniere, Jonathan Huberdeau, Chris Kreider, Brock Nelson, Anton Lundell. For myself here, I think we've got to highlight a couple of players up top here that we've moved near the top of the rankings. Will Smith, monstrous game
Yeah.
alongside Macklin Celebrini. I don't know if you saw that OT bar down snipe
Yeah.
one
Very
timer,
nice.
but that was pretty sick. And yeah, I have waxed poetic already on this podcast about how I think the world of Will Smith and how he's able to turn around what looked like it could be a lost rookie season at one point in the year last year. And so I am hoping that this is the catalyst he needs to really kind of do the full rocket ship emoji for the rest of the season. And I'll let you talk about Zach Benson, Blake.
Oh, but well, we'll talk about him a little bit later. But the Butler, Zach Benson, my God, 33% rostered. I mean, I talked about this player in my Players of Interest series with Louis Boulet in the offseason. I didn't expect this, right? That I cannot, in good conscience, be like, yep, I expected Zach Benson to go line one, power play one, 20 minutes a night. But that's what's happening, folks. And he's only 33% rostered out there. So I think I think at this point he's must roster, right? But am I really confident that this is going to be his role moving forward for the rest of the season? No, I don't think so. I feel like it's still really early to decide that, but I like what the Sabres are doing right now. I think Tage is really dialed in this year. I think he's got a bee in his bonnet. And yeah, Benson is out there with him and on the power play as well. Like that's a perfect place to be. So 33% feels much too low for me there.
Absolutely agree. Let's move on to the sub 20% rostered players. Going a little deeper here. Got five guys here. Troy Terry at 15% is criminal. Dmitry Voronkov still at 18%. I still want to believe in Matt Coronado. It's getting harder and harder day by day, but I think the talent is there. I think it might just be a Calgary thing that they're that bad. I don't know. I still believe in the player, and so I'm going to keep him here just for that, but it is hard to pick him up or consider holding him even in some deeper leagues at the moment. Jackson Blake and Ryan O'Reilly rounding out the five here. And then let's get even deeper, sub 10% rostered. I know Blake likes going even deeper. Kyle Palmieri, 6%.
Way deep.
Sean Couturier, 9%. Mackie Samoskevich, 8%. Jaden Schwartz, 6%. Oliver Bjorkstrand, 8%. Jonathan Drouin, 6%. Emil Heineman.
Yes,
There it
man.
is. Thank you very much. And then Jack Quinn and Jeff Skinner at 2% each. Anybody from this list you want to highlight, Blake?
I mean, I'm very interested still in Jackson Blake. I'm still interested in Mackie Samoskevich. I think those are players that could spend a lot of time on our rosters this season, especially Mackie Samoskevich. Remember my hot take, Nate? Florida doesn't make the playoffs.
Who?
It's happening. I mean, geez, it's tough sledding there in Florida, but obviously they have reinforcements coming with Matt Tkachuk, and they just need to tread water. But I think Mackie Samoskevich is now getting the kind of the treatment that he needs to be really relevant for fantasy hockey. So I like what I'm seeing there. And I'm with you too on Matt Coronado. I think they've got money into this player. They've got term. He's a young, talented player. I think it's more the offensive environment that they're dealing with there. They're trying to figure some things out, but I have a lot of faith in that player. I think he's going to be a lot better.
All right, let's move on to the defense. Sam Renzel tops the list, 37% rostered. Travis Sanheim's still out there in a lot of leagues, 33% rostered. He's actually had a very quiet, very good start to the season for fantasy. Dmitry Orlov is playing so well that I don't even know if John Klingberg takes the top power play back at any point this year. Yeah, you still got Chris Letang out here and Justin Falk. It does get thin very quickly already on defense, and that is something that we were talking about at the beginning of the year, and it does appear like it's coming true here. Let's continue on to the sub 20% rostered amongst defensemen. This is where it gets really rough. Bowen Byram, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Ivan Provorov, even with that terrible head of hair, John Klingberg, and then the aforementioned Axel Sandin-Pellikka. Are there any of these defensemen that actually get you excited at the moment, Blake?
Oh, I'm excited. This is my excited face. All right. Bo Byram, I actually looked at him this week because of the good Buffalo schedule, and he's getting minutes. He's getting more minutes than he normally does. So it's a player that we liked in the past. It's not like he's not that player anymore. He's still a young guy, but yeah, the underlying metrics don't really show out for him right now, but I like the deployment, and I think that's kind of a nice thing. So maybe he could do something there. And obviously, we talked a little bit about OEL, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, just being kind of a nice piece while Riley is out, and he's kind of filling some gaps there, and you could do a lot worse, I think.
Agreed. Let's move over to the goaltenders. Number one on the list, Dan Vladar, 24% rostered. I don't know how many people know that Dan Vladar has started 5 games, including the last 3 in a row for Philadelphia, and has a .932 save percentage on the season. But that is a thing that is actually happening in the NHL right now. Jakub Dobeš, probably by the time you're listening to this, you might already know if Dobeš is getting this Saturday start, but I can't imagine that he doesn't. It really does seem like he's taken the net over, at least for the moment, from Sam Montembeault there in Montreal, and he's been absolutely electric in his starts for Montreal as well. He's rocking a .950 save percentage in 4 starts for Montreal so far. So those two well above everybody else in my estimation at the top of the list at the moment. Do I think that they continue this all season? I absolutely do not. Do I think that they should be rostered and could be 0G heroes for a week or two? Absolutely, I do. There are really no long-term plays at goalies in my mind, but
why? Yeah,
you gotta get in on some of these guys when they're hot for sure. John Gibson, Jet Greaves, and then the aforementioned Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Alex Lyon tandem round out the top 5 here. Then going below sub 25% rostered, Vladar is obviously still here at 24%. He's at the top of the list. Then you get the Sealovs Jari tandem there in Pittsburgh, which is actually both players are doing quite well. They're splitting it perfectly evenly, 50-50. Jari had a shutout and they went back to Sheilovs the next day, so it's a true 50-50, 100% 50-50. And Elvis Merzlikins down here, I mean, Merzlikins has outperformed Greaves. Like, you have to call it the way it is. Elvis Merzlikins has outperformed Jet Greaves in the early going of the season. Greaves just gave up 5 to Washington here, and Merzlikins stopped all but 1 against Dallas there earlier this week. Merzlikins has a .927 in his 3 starts so far. What do you think about Elvis Merzlikins, Blake?
I honestly think he's the 1A there. And he's been a big catalyst. Jet Greaves obviously has really good. He's been good at goals saved above expected, Jet Greaves, but he hasn't been getting the wins. Merzlikins has been getting the wins, and one of those games was kind of I think it was 7-4 or something. So yeah, like his numbers are sort of tainted by that. But I would think I'm more interested in Dan Vladar. Like, that is a really nice piece. Like, I'm just digging in here at 5-on-5. Big difference from last year for the Philadelphia Flyers. They are 3rd overall in expected goals against. 3rd overall in expected. That's huge. So we're talking about a great defensive environment under Rick Tocchet. That's a huge change from what it was under Torts last year. Meanwhile, for Columbus, they're 22nd in expected goals, but they have like because of Jet Greaves and what he's been able to do, and Merzlikins as well, they have like the number 1 goals against at 5-on-5 before tonight's game. So I'd rather go with the better defensive environment in Dan Vladar. I think he should be rostered, right, as a 0G hero.
Can't disagree with that. Unfortunately, we do have to talk about the head-to-head streamer deathmatch. Yeah, this is a spot where I am absolutely getting it handed to me. Blake took Zach Benson. He's got 14 APL points, fantasy points on the week. I took Matt Coronado, and if you were rostering Coronado anywhere, you know how that's going. 4.6 APL points on the week. Blake, we completely forgot to preload our streamer picks for the upcoming week.
I
Do you
know.
feel ready to do this, or do we
I
have
feel like
to?
I can do it. I feel like I can do it. Let's take a look.
Okay,
I'm just digging in here.
you filibuster here, and then I will also find myself a list of players from which to make
Oh
a
my
point.
God, this is freaking painful. All right. And we're going 25 and under. All right. I know what I'm
25% and under. Yep,
I know what I'm
we
gonna
gotta
do.
stick to the line.
Yep. Okay, I got it. I'm gonna go, and this is a quick pick, folks. Okay, so we're going off the cuff here. I'm gonna go with Voronkov. I'm gonna take Voronkov on Columbus and see what's what. He's getting power play 1, line 1. The minutes aren't there, but I think I'm gonna talk myself into it.
I don't mind that pick at all, actually. I think that's pretty sharp across the board. What is. I feel like I might be
Taking a
able to
look too.
sneak a guy. Oh, William Eklund is 27% rostered. That was going to be the pick.
God, all right.
That was close.
I'm looking with you, buddy.
Oh, man.
I mean, we got Terry, but it's only a 3 gamer.
Yeah, Terry's out there. I think I'm just going to have to do the actual sort by.
You got Finney is out there, right?
Finney is a
Oh no,
good
he's
look.
34%. Oh,
He's up to
Finney is
34%?
34. My God.
When did that happen?
I don't know. Marco Casper, he's there. You could
This
go with the
is.
ass man. Oh, is he?
Oh.
If we
Oh,
gotta
he's
check his roster.
definitely less than. There's no way.
Oh yeah,
That
but
would be
you got
shocking.
Anders Lee. Anders Lee is there at 14%. That's got to be your Huckleberry.
That is a pretty good look. I'm just gonna yeah, Anders Lee's probably the guy. Let me just do a sandy check across the board. Is there anybody else that really pops? Don't think there will be. I think it is gonna be Anders Lee at the end of the day. Nobody. Kyle Palmieri is a nice look. I
Oh,
don't
he's
mind
out
that
there as
look
well.
either.
What's his roster? Oh yeah, 7% even.
Yeah, it is. I think I might actually prefer Palmieri to Lee. Definitely getting more deployment.
Ice
Power
time.
play 1. I think I'm going to go Palmieri. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
I'm going Kyle Palmieri for mine. Final answer.
You know what? That's good podcasting right there, folks. That's how we get to biz. The show doesn't stop, folks. We do that. All right. We go to the wheels fall off.
All right. Well, if you made it this far and you actually lasted through all of that terrific podcasting, you should probably click the link in the description, join the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Discord community. Come talk fantasy hockey all day and all night, every day. Like, rate, review, subscribe, comment, whatever you are able and or willing to do. It really does help us out, but that is going to be all that we've got for this episode. So hopefully it brought you some value, helped you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick and 18 Skaters. And many thanks again to Matt Kramer for supplying the stellar music for this podcast. That is going to be it for this one, folks. Much love.